Meeting come to order, please. The notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act for this meeting have been satisfied. Would you please turn off electronic equipment as we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Attention, salute. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please.
Mayor Becker?
Here.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Here.
Commissioner Blumberg?
I'm here.
We have before us minutes of our February 7th meetings. What is your pleasure?
I'll make a motion we approve those. Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
We will now open for public comment. You have 3 minutes on any subject.
Sewell, 22 West Drive. Mayor, you and your two co-conspirators are oblivious to the obvious, namely, whether you like it or not, your solemn sworn oath of office entails a strict fiduciary duty. It is not implied, but the express written mandate of the New Jersey Constitution, more specifically Article 8, Section 4. This constitutional clause demands a thorough and efficient education. It's no secret Margate's educational system is neither thorough nor efficient. This sad state of affairs is driven by a steadfast, obstinate refusal to address and remedy running two half-empty and totally redundant schools. This fiasco and snafu can only be described as a true disaster waiting to happen. Politicians underestimated Gary Stein's judicial clout when the Abbott decision came down, costing Margate tens of millions of dollars. Gary Stein's latest lawsuit threatens Margate's school system far beyond anyone's wildest imagination. Insisting upon running two half-empty schools invites not only a state takeover, but also outright expropriation of Margate's two schools. The ideal solution would be to work out a sending agreement with Ventnor to take advantage of Ventnor's already adequate, acceptable diversity. Ventnor's Board of Education stands ready to make generous concessions, considerations, and accommodations to Margate. Short of this best solution, you must then decide which school to close. Choosing Tye is brain dead, since Ross is most readily adaptable with little or no cost by converting the third floor to classrooms. Tye's highest and best use would be as a satellite campus for Atlantic Cape Community College. It would be an enormous boost to Margate's businesses, especially during winter and shoulder seasons. It would also expose upwardly mobile students to the charms of marvelous Margate and soon become potential Margate homeowners. Today's handout is the perfect template to reduce property taxes 4 years in a row and not by a measly mill, and to consolidate schools after an election rather than before. It can be done and must be done as soon as possible. Mayor, you can't do your Dune Vacillation and Procrastination Act. There's far too much at stake. Brigantine timed it, that is, before Stein's case is adjudicated. Mayor, you dawdle much longer, and you're toast. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Anytime.
Any other public comment?
Good evening, Ed Berger, 9402 Amherst Avenue. I'm the president of the Margate Business Association. I sat through Steve Jazicki's presentation. I'd like to commend everybody from Sustainable Margate for the hard work that they do for our city and trying to remain as stewards for our barrier islands around them. He mentioned one of the programs that the MBA is starting up shortly in April. It's called a Bag It Forward program. It's being sponsored by the businesses, through sponsorship dollars through the businesses. It's our intention to put 10,000 reusable bags out in the stores in Margate, whether they're sponsors or not. The only provision is that when people use them, they either need to reuse them or they have to return them to the stores so other people can reuse them. One of the reasons that motivated this was because there is a number of surrounding communities that are trying to put and have put together plastic bag bounties, I guess is the best way of putting it, legislating in the individual communities and municipalities to charge 5 cents per bag. Most of the businesses that we spoke to at the last Business Association board meeting did not really feel that this was a great way to try and curtail it, and we wanted to provide an alternative to it. We don't think that adding additional legislation would be anything but a burden on the business community in administrating it, and also an additional burden on the city for having to try and enforce it. So our response was to try and put together a program that would solve the same problem. We're not on a different page as Sustainable Margate, we're just on a different part of the same page. I also want to add that sometime in the next couple of weeks you'll see an announcement from the MBA in conjunction with the city. We're putting together what is a very significant electronic step forward in marketing our city. It's called the Catch the Wave app. The app will be everything Margate. It will give you access not only to the city website, to the Margate Business Association website, to each of the individual businesses in the city's website, to each of the individual organizations' websites in the city. It'll all be on your mobile telephone. You'll be able to opt in to get push and pull notifications that when you cross through certain areas in the city, you'll be notified of special deals and special savings, special events that are being done by nonprofit organizations. We really believe that the Margate app is going to have a significant impact, not only on the residents of Margate who will be able to find out what's going on consistently in our city, but also for the people that come down here in the summertime. We have the ability to do geofencing, where each time someone crosses, say for example, the base of the Walt Whitman Bridge or comes across the Margate Bridge, that they'll receive notifications of what's happening in the city on their telephone. It's really quite a remarkable technological step forward for the city and for the Business Association. We're very pleased that the city was able to help underwrite part of this with a grant from the state of New Jersey that we helped prepare with the city. I guess it was just over a year and a half ago. Those dollars have come to fruition and they're being applied now. So please watch your phones. There will be an announcement in the next week or two on when our launch party for the Catch the Wave grant will be coming. Thank you very much for your participation in it.
Thank you, Ed.
Mike, if I may, Ed, before you sit down, because it's near and dear to my heart, and I think everybody here, I think the big problem that we have in town with plastic bags is going to be and is at Wawa and at CVS.
No question.
And so how does your program, how do you see your program impacting what goes on at those two establishments?
You know, it's interesting, Maury. These are 300-pound gorillas that across their entire networks have millions of dollars at stake if they stop using plastic bags. I mean, the alternative that they have to do is either offer a bag for sale or get involved again in another administrative program that's going to cost them money to administer. On a very local basis, the frustrating part is that there's nobody here to talk to. You could talk to the manager of the CVS or the manager of the Wawa, and they could be very compassionate and very sincere, but they have no impact whatsoever on what the corporate structure is going to be. Our approach for both of these companies right now with the Bag It Forward program is to approach them to sponsor it. I want their money. If they're going to continue using plastic bags in the community, I want to be able to use them as a resource to curtail other organizations and other businesses from using them by putting so many of these other bags in use that they'll actually be brought into CVS and brought into Wawa to use them. On a local basis, I can't see an alternative but go the route of trying to get them to help underwrite the program. So that's our approach to them.
Well, and so I think that's good and admirable. And what I would ask is that we try and keep our eye on that. And because if it's not going to work there, if we can't make that work, well, then I think we have to take the ball and the bull by the horns and say, you know what? We're not going to let you use plastic bags in our town anymore.
You know something, Maury? The individual businesses in town here certainly do use plastic bags. Most of them provide some sort of alternative, sometimes a very expensive alternative. You look at Howard up at Castle's, each one of those bags with a handle costs him 15 cents, and a plastic bag costs less than a penny. He doesn't have to have those brown paper bags
Right.
out there, but he puts them out anyway. The restaurant communities, each and every restaurant in this city right now is providing a non-plastic alternative when they're doing takeout and take-home. Tomatoes is doing it, Cookies is doing it, Johnny's is doing it, and Boca's doing it. You know, they're not sending out product in plastic bags anymore. Our business community has already, embraced the stewardship that we need to, as a barrier community. So, if it comes down to the bottom line of banning plastic bags on the beach, for example, or banning plastic bags, on the bayfront. We were part of a program where we banned balloons outdoors in Margate 3 years ago. We were the first community in New Jersey to do it, and there are now 18 municipalities up and down the Jersey coast that have banned the outdoor use of balloons. Margate was the first community to do that. So I think maybe, the first step is to try this. The next step may be a partial ban where you're just simply not permitted to walk onto the beaches in Margate with a plastic bag. I think that would be a big step forward. But on a short-term local basis, the only thing that we can do right now is to try and reach out to these two larger companies and try and get them to participate somehow so we can use their vast resources to try and offset the impact that they're having on our local community. So,
Great. Thank you
That's our-
very
that's our
much.
swing.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Ed.
Thanks, Ed.
Brian Duffy, 312 North Claremont Avenue. I just want to say Mr. Sewell's speech was the same speech he gave like a couple weeks ago. So.
It's the same every.
Same
Every
time.
week.
Listening to my neighborhood talk today, we got to think outside the box on parking issue. That's where this whole thing started. So my thought was, and I don't know if this is feasible, but there's a playground that I rarely see kids in next to the police department and public works. And that's been there for as long as I can remember. But the great part about Margate is there's so many small little playgrounds all around town. There's one right behind your house, Commissioner. There's two at the Union Avenue complex. If maybe only a couple blocks away from that existing playground. If some way we can move those, the playground structures to maybe Union Avenue behind where there's open area there and make that a bigger playground for the community. Now you have an entire lot right next to the police department, right next to Public Works that can be utilized for whatever means necessary, whether it be public parking, tow lot, municipal vehicles, I don't know. I know you guys are always open to different ideas.
Absolutely.
That's my idea. I think if it's feasible, I don't know if it is.
Well, the only thing I would say is if we accepted public grants, Green Acres, which we do in a lot of our parks, we can't touch it.
So if you moved it to another spot, you wouldn't be able to touch it.
Can't touch
So
it.
that just ties.
Can't touch it without, if it's Green Acres. You
Do
can't touch
we
it
know
without
if
their
that's Green
approval.
Acres? or
Well, a
not?
lot of
'Cause, I
the-
mean, that's been there for as long as I can remember.
But we've upgraded equipment, and a lot of
Sure.
times we get grants from, we don't, great suggestion, and thanks for your comments. We'll look into it. We're always open and receptive to all the ideas.
My other thought is, and I think I said this before, parking meters. Now, the business community doesn't want parking meters throughout their town, but sporadically, obviously you don't. That's not true. No? Well, good. Then my opinion is that it produces a source of income. I don't know what the numbers are for Ventnor or Ocean City, but if you have parking meters with a quarter every 15 minutes, and especially on the bayfront there, where you know that those houses, those condos, that's the first parking spot that those people pull into, and they don't move that car from Friday to Sunday night.
We get it.
Yeah, so let's put parking meters in. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Sorry.
Sure. Anyone else? Public comment? Last chance. Convinced you.
Nick Palmisano, 510 North Claremont. Anytime I hear somebody come up and, bash the schools, I got to come up and say the opposite. I got to say that I moved here because of the schools. When you look at the tax rates breakdown in the county, Margate pays the lowest percentage of our tax bill to the schools when you look down that column. So I just always feel like I have to, go back to that. Somebody said something earlier about the meeting time at 4 o'clock, and the reason I didn't get up to speak about the tow lot issue earlier was because I'm rushing to get out of work to try to get down here at 4 o'clock. It is difficult. I mean, I know that we're probably not thinking about moving meeting times. If it ever comes up, I'd be supportive of it because I would like to be here more often, and I can't. So I didn't get the full story on the tow lot and everything that was moving. My thoughts on that would be I wouldn't want that kind of, exercise, that kind of work going on in my residential neighborhood. I don't want to increase that kind of traffic back into the residential neighborhood. And if the issue is parking, if the issue is to make more parking available in Margate, I think it's a problem that we're going to consistently run into because of the kind of building that we're approving in Margate. I know that's more of a planning board issue, but time after time you see a lot where you had a 3-bedroom house being replaced by 2 5-bedroom houses. And then when you replace that, then you take away the parking on that street because then you have curb cuts in front of those houses as well. So all we're doing is reducing parking while increasing the number of cars that may be in the city at any one time. And that kind of leaves Margate with a decision as to what kind of town do we want to be. You know, are we going to be the town where we have a higher density and we expect people to ride bikes and take Uber places? Because that's the direction we're heading. And we're not going to be able to keep finding parking spaces everywhere. You know, a solution may be to open up some parking on the beach block because you could open up probably 100 parking spots in the city by letting parking on the beach block, or at least one side of the beach block. I read an article yesterday that the CRDA was, they approved a plan for a small boutique hotel in Atlantic City. They required less parking spots than were required. They required 120, they said 53. And Mr. Talvacchia, the lawyer, used the Uber effect as the reason, saying we don't need that kind of parking here because you're seeing the Uber effect. You're seeing people that want to go out to dinner jumping in Uber or a Lyft and leaving their car at home. And I think that that would be something that Margate would want, especially in the Bay District where you don't have people driving drunk afterwards. You would want to kind of encourage that. So, to wrap it up, I think that I'm just saying you're going to keep looking for parking and you're going to keep trying to find every little way to squeeze every piece of parking out. And I think that that is contradictory to the way that the development is going in the city. We're eliminating parking, we're increasing the bedrooms in the houses, and you're just going to consistently run into that problem. So beach block parking may be an option, or rethinking the way that the planning board is approving what they're approving. So my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Is there a motion to close this public comment?
I'll make that motion.
Second. Luke, you're all right.
Mayor Becker,
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo,
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg.
Yes.
We will now open public comment on resolutions and ordinance 2 of 2019. Is there any comment?
I'll make a motion. We close public comment.
Second.
Mayor Becker,
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo,
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg.
Yes.
Johanna?
May I have a motion for the introduction of ordinance number 3, 2019, calendar year 2019, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank?
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
May I have a motion for adoption of ordinance number 2, 2019, an ordinance fixing the salaries and wages and compensation of certain officers and employees of the city of Margate?
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
May I have a motion for resolution number 37, 2019, authorizing payment and claim?
I make that motion.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
May I have a motion for resolution number 38, 2019 through number 41, 2019 on our consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
May I have a motion for resolution number 42, 2019, amended to change the time extension to May 1st?
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
May I have a motion for the rest of the consent agenda, which is resolution number 43, 2019 through 46, 2019?
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
Thank you, Johanna. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
The meeting is adjourned, and thank you all for being here.
Good job.